Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, O souls, oh, arise.
Hello, my name is Russell Pelhausen, and I'm a member of All Souls. I'm here today to share information with you about the upcoming All Souls annual meeting. As required by Article 4 of our Constitution, we must hold an annual meeting of our society in May each year. This year's meeting will be held on Sunday, May 31st at 12:30 p.m. in the church's Bragg Auditorium. If you are unable to attend in person, the meeting will also be available via Zoom, so you can join in using a computer, tablet, or smartphone, or you can even call in using a regular telephone. The information for joining on Zoom can be found on the main page of our website at allsoulskc.org. Look for the virtual Bragg Zoom link. The purpose of the annual meeting will be to adopt an annual budget and to elect incoming members of the Board of Trustees and various church committees. In addition, we will be voting on several items, including motions related to the endowment fund. Details about each of these items can be found on the church website or in the newsletter. Congregants who are not able to attend in person should follow the process on the church website or in the newsletter to appoint a proxy to vote on your behalf. For members attending in person, a paper ballot will be distributed at the annual meeting, and we will follow standard parliamentary procedure for handling voting there. For members attending online via Zoom or members who are unable to attend, a proxy form and sample ballot will be available online before the meeting. I highly recommend filling out both the proxy form and a sample ballot to provide to your proxy indicating your voting preferences. The Board of Trustees will be approving an agenda and draft budget for the annual meeting, and these documents will be shared via the church website. Please take some time to review the agenda and budget and let the board know if you have any questions or concerns. The Cassidy sisters are once again providing a delicious Sunday Plus lunch before the annual meeting, so please remember to pre-order. We hope that this process will allow everyone to attend the annual meeting and feel that their voice is heard. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email the board at board@allsoulskc.org or reach out to any board member or the church office. Once again, make sure to mark your calendars for Sunday, May 31st at 12:30 p.m. for the All Souls annual meeting. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm David Yackel, member at All Souls. Whether you're here in the room or watching online, we're glad you're here. Your presence enriches us all and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. Welcome. We know that your first time attending a church, you may want to keep a low profile and just check things out quietly. We're glad you're here. And if you're excited to be here with us all and want to let us know, please raise your hand. Thank you for enriching us all with your presence today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join with us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today.
I'd like to invite you to create with me a special call to worship this morning as a responsive reading. The words will be on the screen. We are keepers of hope, holders of memory, storytellers and song weavers, pulling on this thread of truth, this other march of history that might otherwise fail to find its footing. We are keepers of compassion, demonstrating that life is filled with kindness, bold beauty, courage, sacrifice for the common good, and a wide willingness to embrace neighbors as strangers and strangers as kin.
We are keepers of compassion.
We are here to do the work of creation, remembering the past, remembering ourselves, imagining our most possible future for this life, for these people that we will create and recreate together. Though too often we teeter on the edge of forgetting, we belong to each other.
We are keepers of creation.
Bring all that you are, every shadow and every light, every hope, every fear for this radiant hour. Let us be hope, compassion, and creation for each other. And let us all now say as one, come, let us worship together. And what is this we do every Sunday when we come worship together? Unitarian Universalist churches have centuries-old traditions, traditions that continue to evolve in our hands in response to changing times. And oh, beloveds, we are living in dangerous times. How watchfully, how intentionally we need to protect and nurture this precious living tradition of ours. So as we gather to worship today, let's reflect on what it is we're all doing here and why and how. UU worship is not an event for spectators. It's not what used to be called a sermon sandwich, featuring a rather long, intellectually stimulating sermon sandwiched in between a couple of hymns and maybe a little music thrown in somewhere like a condiment. About a century ago, Unitarian minister and religious scholar Van Ogden Vogt in Chicago became well known for his work in liturgical studies. Unitarian public worship, he taught, is a work of art. Every service, a unique psychological drama in several acts, a work of art that the congregation creates together by engaging architecture, drama, stagecraft, music, ritual, song, a multi-sensory experience engaging our whole humanity to access deep psychological and spiritual truths. Every Sunday, we begin with a reminder that we're part of something greater than ourselves. As we light our flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, created as an underground logo in occupied Europe, as the Unitarian Service Committee helped the hunted escape Nazi persecution. We join UU congregations throughout the world in starting our worship with this beloved symbol.
Our chalice lighting words are by Jamie Yandel, a Unitarian Universalist minister. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, the unknown. We light this flame and are emboldened by its blaze, knowing our strength as a prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love. Please rise in body or spirit as we join together in reading our covenant and for the following song. Together we affirm, Goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I'd now like to invite all the young ones to come forward and have a story. You know, it occurred to me that maybe none of you even know me. Does anyone know me? Nope. I was here before your time. So I'm Reverend Jill, and I'm going to tell you the story today, but I've got a little prop. I wonder if you know what this is. It's a cookie jar. It's actually a cookie tin, but not to disappoint anyone, but it is empty. Yeah, I know. You never know what would work for everybody in here. Maybe the reason it's empty is that people, hold that thought a minute, because nobody made cookies. I was going to say because somebody took the cookies out, but in fact, maybe nobody put cookies in. So, but I want us to think about, has anybody ever helped make cookies? Who's helped make cookies? Oh yeah? Okay, so you can really add to this story because you know some of what I'm going to be talking about. So, yep. So we're going to talk about who puts the cookies into the cookie jar, but it's a whole lot of people with a whole lot of hands, just for one person to be able to take out a cookie. So one hand in the cookie jar takes a cookie out. How many hands do you think put the cookie in?
It's 5. No, 6.
Wait till you see. I think there's more than that. Okay. 6? Okay. Good. Keep going. There are hands that mix the dough. If you if you've made cookies, have you mixed the dough? And then what do you do with the dough? You put it on the sheet, right? You put it in little clumps on the sheet. So there's person does that with their hands, and then, but the sheet, where does the sheet come from that you put the cookies on?
A factory.
Exactly. Yep. Comes from a factory where somebody's hands have to make that cookie, usually with machines. But then, what do you need when you're going to take them out of the oven? Mittens. Yes. Sometimes called gloves, pot holders, hot pads. Yeah? I called them pot holders when I was little. I know, the ovens are better. Now, what else goes into the dough? Do we know what goes into the dough? Sometimes chocolate chips. Yes, if they're chocolate chip cookies. What goes into the dough? Sometimes? Yes, we will see that. Yeah?
Chocolate chips.
Sometimes chocolate chips. Yes?
How about wheat?
Wheat. But first, butter. Milk. And what do we make from milk and cream? Butter. So it takes hands to feed the cow and then to milk the cow. Yes. And to churn the butter. So once the cream comes out, somebody has to, maybe nobody's ever done this here. Has anybody ever done this? Actually churned butter? Well, that's how you make cream.
I've made ice cream.
Have you? Well, so that is churning, right? Yeah. Okay, that's kind of like this. And then we get to the wheat. You were talking about the wheat. So, okay, the wheat grows in the field, and then you have to have somebody guide that plow with their hands to help grow it. And then, well, before that, you sow the wheat. So you put seeds out for it. And then somebody has to grind the wheat. So you grind the wheat, and what does that make?
Seeds.
Nope, that's after the seeds. Flour. It makes flour. Yes. That makes flour. And then we need more hands because you know what else? You know what else goes into cookie dough?
Milk.
Let's see, there might be one more picture next. Eggs. Right. So you have to have hands to feed the hens and to make them a pen will be safe so they can lay their eggs. And then somebody said cookies have sugar, right? So you get sugar. You know, anyone? Sugar cane, exactly. Do you know you can get it from beets too?
What?
Beets. You can get, yeah. Sometimes you get sugar from beets, but here we get sugar from sugar cane. So they have to cut it and grind it, and load that into the train. So there are hands that then load that into trucks, and more hands that drive the trucks. And where are they driving the trucks? Yes, stores, right. Drives it to the stores, and then once it's on the stores, what do? The hands put them on the shelves, right, when things arrive, so that then you can go buy it. Exactly. So then we have hands that clothe and feed all of those people we just talked about. So hands that heal them and teach them, big people, little people, hands that help. The hands that help are what the world's about. So how many hands get that cookie into the cookie jar working all together? One plus. That's closer. But I think I'm going with 6,000,000,003,000,000 over here. They do look like eggs. And I'm I'm going to take the opportunity of being here to say that one of the worst disappointments in the world is thinking there's a chocolate chip cookie and it's oatmeal raisin. Just saying. So remember, when there's something that we create together, a lot of people get involved in it, even though it looks like it's only one thing. Okay? So shall we sing you all to your classrooms today? Okay, let's sing to the classroom. The offering is an important ritual that has roots in some of the most significant developments in Unitarian history. There was a time in the early colonial period when our congregations, not yet calling themselves Unitarian, were not so very committed to the principle of separation of church and state. Churches were supported by the state. Now, after the Revolution, the government could not establish churches, but there was nothing to stop them from continuing to support the ones there through taxes. But in the early 1800s, that means of funding religion was losing its attraction as the religious landscape became more diverse, as more and more congregations declared themselves Unitarian. Fewer and fewer religiously orthodox taxpayers were willing to have their tax dollars support heretics. At that point, our congregations had to rely totally on their membership for funding. So a lot of churches held auctions every year, but it's not what you think. They auctioned the right to rent their pews. And some churches outright sold their pews as real estate to pay for their building, and then they taxed the value of the pew back to its owner to fund the annual budget. Yeah, pretty creative, huh? But there were unforeseen, we hope, consequences. The most expensive pews for the richest families were in front. The cheap seats were in the back. There were often free seats at the very back or in the balcony if there was one. As you can imagine, free seats carried a social stigma. So this system reinforced the lack of class diversity. It also vested control of the church in its richest members. One minister famously complained that the well-to-do pew owners were not necessarily friends of the social justice movements of the time. Some were distillers of hard liquor and against the temperance movements. Others owned plantations in Cuba, or enslaved people in New Orleans, or were officers in the military and were against the anti-war movements. There were also those who just wanted to enjoy life and didn't want to be challenged on Sunday morning. And when all these pew owners got together and figured out that they composed a majority, the church essentially belonged to them, the richest members. And so the minister had no right to preach ideas that they didn't approve of. In 1848, Unitarian minister James Foreman Clark, a particularly fierce critic of those funding systems, founded the Church of the Disciples in Boston, which attracted as many as 700 people on a Sunday morning. And it was radically different from the other Unitarian churches there. It took up offerings based on members' voluntary contributions. In his dedication, Clark said, "We wish and intend that these doors always be open to welcome the stranger, that the rich and the poor may sit together, and the differences of rank and caste be forgotten. We wish that the fugitive slave and the penitent prodigal may here feel themselves welcome, as they always have been. By 1900, most Unitarian and Universalist churches took up weekly offerings, making giving an act of worship. So these days, the ritual act of passing the basket from hand to hand, though not the primary source of funding, reminds us of our tradition, that this church is supported by the voluntary contributions of its members and friends, that we exist completely independent of government control, that we are free to preach and advocate and live all that we deeply believe, that this church is open to everyone, and that regardless of financial contribution, each member has an equal say. And because we are a generous contribution, we often give away our weekly offering, like today.
All right, good morning, church. I am so glad that you're here today because, and I'm so thankful for that little history of our offering practice. Today's the day that we're going to share the plate with a local nonprofit, and today it is Abortion Action Missouri. The offering today will go to AAM, and my friend and fellow church member Kay Hopkins will tell you a little bit about the work of AAM.
Good morning. I am here as a volunteer with Abortion Action Missouri, the lead nonprofit organization that is defending the right to critical medical procedures that have been banned in Missouri. The right to abortion, the medical procedure to terminate a dangerous pregnancy or to remove a fetus that is no longer alive, or for an individual to simply choose to terminate a pregnancy for a multitude of reasons. In 2024, we formed a team at All Souls to work with AAM to get tens of thousands of signatures to put abortion and choice on the ballot. In 3 months, we succeeded. The voters voted, and access to abortion was restored and made a part of the Missouri Constitution. But the fight is not over. Those lawmakers in Jeff City said the voters did not understand what they signed and voted for. Now, AAM and our team must defend our rights again at the ballot. Interconnectedness is a core principle of the UU faith. And no matter your ability to bear a child, these attacks on basic rights to medical treatment affect us all in a myriad of ways. Today, we ask you to financially support the work of Abortion Action Missouri to protect access to medical care.
Your contributions in the basket today will be passed on to Abortion Action Missouri, and we appreciate your generosity. The offering will now be gratefully received. Please join me as we dedicate the offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
The Size of Worship by Clark Dewey Wells. A church service, if it is to be adequate to the needs of a varied and intergenerational community, must be large, imaginative, evocative, utilizing myth, symbol, and the arts. Why is this so? Because few of us are at the same place in life, either cognitively or emotionally in our understandings. Each of us is in process. It would be easy to build a liturgy without the qualities desiderated above, and that liturgy would no doubt satisfy a few of us who happen to be in the same place at the same time in life, sharing the same age, sentiment, economic class, social status, theological viewpoint. I can put together a liturgy that, in its clear-cut rationality, excludes everything beyond my present range of appreciation and understanding. I could exclude and exclude and exclude. I am clever enough to devise services that would exclude humanists and theists, traditionalists and modernists, socialists or Republicans, and end up with a righteous remnant of 2 or 3 of us echoing away in the purity of our own perspectives.
In Troubled Times by Stephen Schick. From the loneliness of troubled times we come to discover that we are not alone. Into the dwelling place of togetherness we come to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost we come to discover what will save us. Into the comfort of each other's arms we come to feel the strength that has not yet vanished. From darkness we come to wait until our eyes begin to see. Into the refuge of fading dreams we come to remove illusions and focus new visions. From despair that walks alone we come to travel together. And into the dwelling place of generations we come to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice.
Out of wood and stone, out of dreams and
I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. We will be led by the choir in a sung response afterwards. Spirit of life and love, Spirit that lives within us and between us and among us right now within this beloved community and in our work for collective liberation. May we continue to weave the web of trust and care to keep our bodies safe. But more than that, may our bodies be the site of healing, joy, and freedom. May we refuse to let our spirits be depleted and hardened by the forces of hate. Instead, may we open ourselves to be nourished and transformed by the movement for justice, knowing that our collective story is not what we are fighting against, but what we are fighting for. For ours is the work of creation. Ours is the work of inviting people into an irresistible movement, rooted in our belief that a new world is possible. And the center of our work is love and joy and the spirit of abundance. These are the things we are fighting for, and these are the things we are fighting with. May we know deep in our bones that this is the call of our faith. Amen, and blessed be. About the time I was starting seminary, a local Presbyterian church sent a request over to All Souls. It seemed they had an adult Sunday school class that was studying different religions, and they were interested in knowing more about Unitarian Universalism. I think that the request was for an actual religious professional to come speak to them, someone who presumably knew their subject matter. And sadly, we had no such professional available that day, so someone thought it would be a good idea to send me, for the experience or something. So I have the standard little elevator speech, the speech of the time prepared, a little UU history, how we come out of two liberal Christian traditions. We don't have a creed. We're open to new theological insights so that we have values in common rather than one cosmological worldview. We have UUs who are agnostic, Christian, humanist, Buddhist, pagan, Jewish, atheist, still thinking about it, etc. And at this point, I am pretty enthusiastic because I do think our pluralism is really cool. But they're just mostly looking confused. And one woman asks skeptically, "Do you come together for Sunday services? How do you do that? Well, what does that even look like?" "Ah," I say, "yes, we celebrate our shared values. We use resources from our differing traditions of the hymns in our hymn book. Some are theist and some are not. Some celebrate nature and some Jesus. So everyone can feel included and their traditions welcomed. In retrospect, this description was a lot more aspirational than it might be today. So I finally stop emoting. They're all just silently looking at me, quizzically. Some may be a little appalled. Then the same woman speaks up again. That just sounds exhausting. I assure her it's no such thing, but driving home later, I think, yeah, for a worship leader, sometimes it can be exhausting. In my own defense, I hadn't even taken my first class on UU worship yet, and can honestly say with apologies to those good Presbyterians that I had very little idea of why exactly we gathered on Sunday mornings, though I'd been gathering for over a decade. Eventually, I learned about American theologian Henry Nelson Wyman, who was a renowned religious naturalist, revered among UU seminarians. In 1975, the Unitarian Universalist Association posthumously awarded him the UUA Distinguished Service Award in the cause of liberal religion. And here is Wyman's famous question. What operates in human life with such character and such power that it will transform us as we cannot transform ourselves? That saves us from evil and leads us to the best that human life can ever reach. His answer? A process he called creative interchange. Wyman was a theist, and he was also a naturalist. He believed God is not a being, but a process. In fact, that process. Here's how Wyman's creative interchange happens, and maybe this will sound familiar. Diverse people intentionally come together to truly listen to one another and to find value in their differences, not to find compromise, not to agree on a lowest common denominator, but the purpose is to foster new meanings as together we transform the old ways. And creative interchange ends up with something greater than the sum of its parts. It goes just beyond our collective humanness, but not necessarily to the supernatural. From childhood, our society teaches us to respond to otherness with deception and manipulation, selfishness, fear. But creative interchange requires lively interaction with other people's experience and minds and hearts, and it doesn't work unless we can be authentic and curious and appreciative. I invite you to consider that every Sunday we are engaging creative interchange together with meaningful, sensory-rich experiences that build community and strengthen our relationship across differences as we are open to it, fostering transformation. And every person gathered here brings something to this process. One of the most memorable pieces of advice from my first UU worship professor was, of course, bring your very best efforts to your planning and leading and preaching, but once that service starts, let go of any illusion of control. It's true. How worship evolves depends on the merging and interaction of what each person brings that morning. Anxiety about what happened in the news yesterday, fear about a diagnosis, excitement about an afternoon event, dreariness of a gray day, joyful feeling of a beautiful spring morning, irritation, enthusiasm, weariness, relief. It's all here somewhere. You can feel the collective spirit in how we respond to the words we hear, the feeling we put into the songs we sing, The enthusiastic applause, the deep appreciative silence, the laughter. Alain de Botton is a Swiss author and philosopher who argues that, totally aside from any supernatural claims, he himself is a non-believer, that religions have important things to teach the secular world. And as an art lover, de Botton has addressed the question, what exactly is art for? Why do people flock to museums? Is everyone afraid to ask what it's for because they think everybody else already knows? So I find his answer to that question, what is art for, closely mirrors my answer to the question, what is UU worship for? Which is another question I think hardly anyone ever asks. Maybe you all think everybody else already knows it. So I'm going to paraphrase Alain de Botton pretty freely in answering that question, what is our worship for? Why do we create this work of art together? First of all, worship offers beauty, which brings us hope, so that in the really bad times, we don't just sink into despair. That doesn't mean we're ignoring the ugly things. They weigh heavily on us. That we are able to create and appreciate beauty despite that ugliness is an achievement of no small worth. And I just want to pause here to shout out to the choir and the musicians and Anthony, our music director, for all the beauty that they bring to our services. And what is the song we sing to our children every week? Beauty be the blessing of your nights and days. And worship makes us less lonely because it helps normalize the pain that's part of life. Beneath the cheerful facades that we often feel are expected of us, there's a lot of sadness and regret and fear that we can't always express for fear of seeming weird or like losers. When we hear stories or sing songs that reflect great sadness, that reminds us that's part of the human condition, and that in every good life there are lots of times of loneliness and distress. And here's a purpose of worship that we might find, yes, sometimes exhausting, and also one of the most valuable because it's so counterintuitive. Worship rebalances us. There are so many human continuums on which each of us is somewhere toward one end or the other, in ways that we often experience big time as we come together on Sunday morning to co-create worship. We're too intellectual, we're too emotional, we're introverted, we're outgoing. We learn best through hearing or seeing or moving. We like classical music or it bores us. We have huge generational differences. We find atheism cold. We find theism irrational. We want to just sit and experience. Music makes us sway and dance. We just crave a few moments of blessed silence, or we're suspicious of that act. We're creeped out by religious language, or we find it deeply meaningful, and we want more spirituality if we could only just define that. Or there's just too much of that already. I think most of you know I've barely scratched the surface here. And so when we manage to do this thing together, the creative interchange of sometimes wildly different ways of beings, we can rebalance ourselves, maybe experience something we don't know we're lacking, and bring each other the possibility of transformation in ways we could not individually transform ourselves. We can model that process to a skeptical world. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "A person will worship something, have no doubt about that. We may think our tribute is paid in secret in the dark resources of our hearts, but it will come out. That which dominates our imaginations and our thoughts will determine our lives and our character Therefore, it behooves us to be careful what we worship, for what we are worshiping, we are becoming. And so we worship together to tease out values that the world asks us to disdain. A world that has a distorted sense of what truly matters. More power, more bombs, more money, more nationalism, more exclusion. These are not our values. Here we're celebrating diversity, equity, inclusion. That would be DEI. We're celebrating it. Welcome. Compassion, justice, and yes, staying woke. These are among the values that do truly matter. Sunday mornings, we remind ourselves and each other that that is what we are worshiping. But not only that, we are using our talents and our words and our love to make these values visible and accessible because Sunday morning is the public face of All Souls. We are lifting up our spirits and celebrating our values with seekers and guests and newcomers who bring their own diverse perspectives and experiences, whose presence contributes to the possibility for transformation. May this time of creative interchange lead us to perform our thoughts, transform our thoughts into action, action that continually blesses our world. May it be so. Rise and body your spirit for Life Calls Us On.
One another.
this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I offer you these closing words by Birch Q. Take this as an invitation to imagine how wide this world can be, to face the closing doors before us and move toward the opening windows in our lives. Take this as an invitation to remember a critical truth, that none of us have it all figured out, that we help one another grow and change. Take this as an invitation to cross thresholds of challenge, not on our own, not for ourselves alone, but side by side, spirits rising and expanding together. Let us go now to share our gifts and truths with each other and this world.